All right. This time I'm going to call to order the January 15, 2020 Pollyant Trail Council meeting, and we're going to pay our respects to the flag. And Donnie, if you'll lead us in invocation after the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, God, for this new year and for the gift of being a part of a new decade. Thank you for the trails and the ability for our communities to use, enjoy, exercise, and maintain our health. Please continue to bless us, our communities, give us wisdom during this meeting, and thank you for all the gifts in which we receive. Amen.
Thank you, Donnie. Okay, before we get started, I'd like to introduce to council Allison Kemp. She is the new representative from the Village of Oxford. Allison, you made your introductions to everybody and met everybody, so you'll get to know them a little bit better along the way. So we're really pleased to have the Village of Oxford represented on the Pollyant Trail Council. A couple of items I'd like to change on the agenda before we approve it. The original agenda did not have on items G and H, so those need to be added. I made copies for everybody. The agenda, item H is Oxford Ladies Club event request. Item I is the ITC power line tree trimming. And also what I'd like to do is, because this wasn't done in November as it should have been done, I want to move up item 9A to, we'll call it item 5, the PATMC officer elections. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Excuse me, let me back up. Here. We can get a roll call on the agenda, please.
Bruce Pearson.
Here.
Eric Sant.
Here.
Donnie Steele.
Here.
Aaron Watley.
Here.
Elgin Nichols here. Curtis Wright.
Here.
Mike McDonald.
Present.
Allison Kemp.
Here.
Linda Moran.
Here.
Kevin Green. All present.
Kevin is excused from the meeting. Okay, now we'll take a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by,
Hi. I'd like to add something.
you would like to add to the
something,
agenda.
Just a small, had my hand up way early.
You did. I'm sorry for not looking that way.
I just wanted to, unfinished business, the Pathway Church, and we talked about writing a letter, and I just wanted to update
Okay.
on that, that's all.
Okay, we'll add that as item 10E, Pathway Church update.
My seconds, or my motion stands to approve as amended.
I don't know, I only get a couple seconds, but I'll do another second.
All right. All right, motion by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Pearson to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, moving on our agenda now is going to be election of officers. In your packet, board members, according to the interlocal agreement, a chairperson,
Point of order, consent agenda?
I moved it before the consent agenda,
Oh, my apologies.
moved everything else down.
Okay,
Um,
I see. Okay, I got you.
So with that, according to the interlocal agreement, council needs to elect a chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer for that. So the first order is to appoint a chairperson for the Pollyant Trail.
I'd like to nominate our present chairperson, Curtis Wright, for the office of chairperson.
Second.
Okay, a motion on the floor by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Sump to appoint Curtis Wright as chairperson. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, I remain the chair for another year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody
You've got
take a
this
step
job.
forward. Everybody take a step forward.
You have whipped this job
Thank
into
you
shape.
so much.
It was a tough campaign, but you weathered it.
I'll have to keep the momentum going here. Okay, on to the vice chairperson. Councilor McDonald is serving as vice chairperson. Is there any motion or nominations from the floor?
I'd like to make the motion that Mike McDonald stay as the vice chairperson.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Counselor Pearson, second by Counselor Sump to appoint Mike McDonald as vice chairperson of the Pollyant Trail Management Council. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next up is secretary position. With that, talking with Mr. Nichols, he indicated that he would prefer somebody else take the secretary position if somebody else might be interested in that. So, for Elgin, I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, that's what I would prefer. I've had it for 2 terms. I think maybe a chance for someone else to do it at this point.
You've done such a fine job.
Yes.
I knew that was coming.
You might get it by default.
So, That your will be done.
Okay, who would like to make a nomination on council?
Can we go after a new person?
We can?
Allison?
We can?
I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I don't know.
I wasn't either 2 years ago.
You'll have plenty of help.
Okay, I'll make a motion that Allison Kemp become the new secretary.
Second.
Okay, motion by Counselor Nichols, second by
Congratulations.
Counselor Sump to appoint Allison Kemp as the secretary to the Pollyant Trailway Management Council. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank
Opposed?
you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
They did this to me a few years ago.
All right,
Interns.
She did it before that.
and the last appointment we have is treasurer. Currently we have Counselor Steele as treasurer for the Pollyant Trail Management Council. Any other nominations for that position?
I would nominate Donnie Steele. She's done a fine job, and I think
Absolutely.
she should carry on as a treasurer because we're expecting big things from her in the next year.
Ditto.
Oh, we have a ditto.
Yeah. And a second.
In a second. There's a second. Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Pearson, second by Counselor Sump to appoint Donnie Steele as the treasurer for the Pollyant Trailway Management Council. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. All right, everybody's in place here. Okay, now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. One item I'd like to point out on the consent agenda, on the memo I sent out, the bills to be paid, that number's incorrect. So if you're going to read that motion into the record, I'll let you know what that number is. It's $12,610.87. $12,610.87. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Minutes, bills, financial reports?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stipulated as far as the amount for bills for the months of both November and December. And that's it, right? That'll,
12,610.87.
right, 12,610.87.
That includes the financial reports as well.
And the financial reports, yes.
No support.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Nichols to approve the consent agenda as presented. We can get a roll call on this, please.
Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Sant.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Allison Kemp.
Yeah.
Okay, that motion carries. Moving on, public comment. No public comment is in the audience present at this time. Citizen rep report. Kevin is absent, excused on that. Trail management report. What I'd like to do now with this is, you've had it in your packet. If you got any questions or comments on the report for Linda, she'll be happy to answer those. So, anything that you'd like to address on the trail manager report?
I read the report, and it looked very good. It's very short and sweet, and I think most of it is self-explanatory.
Couple items, and I mentioned this to Linda, is that I'd like her to provide a WAM schedule to council. So maybe that's something you may get a call on in your township or or village, and that way you'll know that they're out there. Usually on Sundays, right, Linda?
Yes,
Yeah.
we actually have quite a few more this year. I think we have 27 visits instead of 22 last year. Sorry, Connie.
All right. So we are actually increasing our WAM schedule by an extra 4 visits. They're starting in March instead of April. So we are going to be probably doing some heavy-duty invasive species removal. We'll be working with Bob and Kip and Mr. Chipper, pulling the stuff down, getting it ready to be chipped. So then they'll bring the chipper all at one time and chip it away. So
Okay.
a lot of good stuff for them to do.
Are there any further things for Linda? Master plan, WAM signs, Mr. Chipper, Snow Dash, Lakeville Road. What else we got on here? Lake George parking lot, Iron Bell grant, WAM grant, M24 upgrade 2020. So, yes, Mike.
When will the master plan be adopted?
The master plan, I talked to Kristen yesterday.
Nope. It's on our agenda.
Oh.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
He's good. That's why.
Also, if council has no objection, for next month and moving forward, I will put this in the consent agenda to be approved.
Right.
Unless you would like it, if you'd like it pulled out separately, you can do it at that time. So if
That'd be a
There's
great
no-
idea.
if there's no further objection from council, we'll have this as consent agenda going forward. Okay, if there's nothing further, we're moving on. Moving on here, new business now. We've done the election of officers, moved that up. The 2020 meeting schedule. There again, I should have had this in November. I did not have it, so I'm bringing this after the fact. So we sort of got ahead of ourselves with this meeting, but there's been no changes to the actual locations on the Pollyant Trail meeting schedule. So a simple motion is in order to approve this meeting schedule, unless you'd like to change it.
I move to approve the Pollyant Trailway Management Council 2020 meeting schedule as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Sump to approve the 2020 meeting schedule for the Pollyant Trail as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next item is the handicap trail permit renewal. This is just a annual renewal to allow Councilor Pearson's son to access the trail. I don't know, is this something that we can get like a blanket permit for others to use?
Well, I believe that we filled out paperwork originally. and
Originally,
This is just
yeah.
a renewal, but other people have to come and fill out paperwork.
That's a separate, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, with that, then, just a quick motion to renew is in order.
I'll move to approve the renewal of the permit to allow Bruce Pearson's son, Cody, to access the Pollyant Trail.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilor Wiley, second by Councilor Sump to approve the permit to allow Councilor Pearson's son, Cody, to access the Pollyant Trail. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Next item is the Iron Bell grant funds. As you're aware, Linda was successful in getting an Iron Bell grant for the Pollyant Trail, and she has remaining funds to be used on that, and the amount that I believe I put down, Linda, is $1,637.50.
Correct.
It has to be used at the,
Clarkston parking lot area.
called Indianwood Crossing, Indianwood Crossing,
I know a line.
yeah.
It's Clarkston Road.
So that's there, and
Type
I don't know, Donnie and Aaron, have you had any input? What do you like to see there? Seeing it's in Orient Township?
Linda's doing a fabulous job, so
Okay.
I'm not going to
Defer to her.
manage her projects.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing a good job.
I actually have a list of things that I would like to do, and that if magic happens, we'll get them all done for that $1,600. I want to put down more wrap on the parking lot surface. Worked well. We haven't had any problems. It's really keeping the mud down. I'd like to get into some new bumper blocks because the wooden ones are failing. Either replace them with wood or cement. The cement's very expensive, so I think we'll probably end up with more wood. Cement base for the bike rack. Right now, Complete Automation and made it and installed it, but it's in grass, and I don't like it. So we're going to take it back out. I talked to Steve at Complete Automation. It's real easy to do. We're going to put a cement pad in there, and then we're going to rework the access to the path, the little path walkway. Right now it's stone. Oakland County suggested that possibly we make it cement or a more solid surface for people with reduced mobility to get to the bench and to get down to the trail. So that's basically kind of what we're doing. ITC, I know I'm jumping ahead, but it's pertinent. I talked to ITC. They are going to be doing some clear cutting over in that area, and they offered to rototill part of that area so I can get a gardening permit over there so I can plant a proper wildflower garden and add some tree shrubs over there. So they're going to do that while they're over there for us. So, and that won't cost us anything. So they're going to churn it up for us. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, with that,
Aaron has a question.
I'll just say one thing about the wildflower garden.
Yeah.
We were working on a separate project, and we reached out to Bear. Yeah.
Like the
I'll send you the
manufacturer?
information. Yeah.
Okay,
They
like the
work on
bow and arrow?
seeds and different stuff like that, and they will send you a box
Nice.
of native seeds to our area for free.
Yeah, because they're about, for a pound, they're right at, I can't remember if they're like $300 a pound, $400 a pound. And that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't a lot of seeds. I actually have purchased some odd things that are resting in my refrigerator for springtime. Not the used refrigerator, the not used refrigerator.
all right, with that, there's a proposed motion to approve the funding for Linda to move forward. Okay, hearing none, I'll move to authorize Polly and Trailway Manager Linda Moran to use the remaining $1,637.50 Iron Bell grant funds to make improvements to the Indianwood Crossing parking lot and the adjacent property at Indianwood Crossing.
Support.
Okay, motion by Chairperson Wright and second by Councilor Nichols to approve Linda Moran to utilize the Iron Bell funds at the Indianwood Crossing. Roll call, please.
Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Ellison Kemp.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Next item is the mowing contract. Linda, I'll let you explain this if you'd like, unless you want me to.
No, we have Urban Habitat, Pete Warrants, doing our annual mowing 3 times a year with an option for a 4th. We had a 2-year contract with an option for a 3rd. Curtis and I talked about it. We might as well just exercise that 3rd-year option. He does a great job. The price is good. Never had any trouble with him. He's a fabulous guy to work with. So I called him. He's totally amenable to exercising that 3rd-year contract. And same price, same deal. He's okay with it. So might as well just move forward with it and save plenty.
Pleased to offer a motion to approve the 3rd-year option of the mowing contract approved in 2018 between the Pollyant Trailway Management Council and Urban Habitat at the amount of $700 per mow. Urban Habitat shall provide the Pollyant Trailway Management Council a current certificate of insurance listing the Pollyant Trailway Management Council and the MDNR as additionally insured, because that is a requirement that they have.
Good.
And I'll support that.
Okay, motion by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Pearson to approve the mowing contract at $700 per mow by Urban Habitat. Donnie, do you have a question?
No, I was going to make a motion.
Are you going to make a motion? Aaron.
You already did.
I would just say that next year, we're up for a renewal of our contract as well. So if we bid out your project as well, we might be able to get a better price for the council.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, perfect. Lovely.
So Linda, I don't know if this is the time, but did you want to expand on what your grandiose thoughts are as far as going forward? Or do you want to save that?
Let's save it. Let's
Okay, we'll
have
save
a
it.
first
All right.
surprise later.
Okay, with that, let's get a roll call vote on the motion.
Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Ellison Kemp.
Yes.
Okay, the motion does carry. Next item under new business is a SunCog workshop for the trail manager. Linda approached me inquiring whether or not this would benefit her and the Pollyant Trail to attend a SunCog workshop. It's coordination with the M-Parks program. Aaron, are you going to that?
Yeah.
You're going to that. So when I looked at the breakdown of this, it looks like it could be very beneficial for the Pollyant Trail to actually get that information and bring it back for grant funding and other amenities.
And where Aaron and I are both going, it's, more ears hear more.
It'll be a great networking
Yeah.
opportunity for the trail.
Yeah, it looks like
And,
you've
yeah.
got the main people in
Yeah.
parks management in Michigan there.
Yep.
And-
Really would be a
Yeah.
be a plus. So what I looked at is probably 12 hours of Linda's time to go down there between drive time and getting back. So I think the cost is well worth it to move that forward.
There's no cost for attendance?
No, there's no cost for attendance. You do have to register by the 24th, though.
Yes.
So-
We knew we were coming to the meeting. I've attended, the last 3 years, I think, and then Aaron and I sat on the Parks Board last year? Was it last year? 2017, 18? We
Oh,
sat
for
on.
SEMCOG, yeah.
Yeah, for SIMCOG, we sat on that Parks Planning Board, so I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good program.
Be pleased to make a motion.
Yeah.
I move to approve Pollyant Trail Manager Linda Moran to attend the SEMCOG workshop on Wednesday, January 29th, 2020. Any costs associated for attending the workshop shall be expensed to account 298-853-861.002, contracted services.
Okay, motion on the floor, second to the motion.
Second.
Donnie
Okay.
had her hand up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilor Nichols, second by Councilor Steele to approve the trail manager to attend the SEMCOG workshop. Seeing there's costs, can we get a roll call?
Yes, sir. Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Allison Kemp.
Yes.
Approves.
Okay, that motion carries. Next item, which is item 9G, is a temporary bollard replacement due to the M24 road reconstruction. As we're all aware, M24 is going to be reconstructed through Oxford and a significant portion of Orient Township, and there's going to be a bypass. So I did put a map in your packet there showing the route of the bypass. And as part of that bypass at Glassby and the Pollyant Trail, the MDOT is going to be removing the stop signs, so it'll be through traffic. So Linda's concern is that there'll be a very dangerous intersection for people on bikes and other amenities using the Pollyant Trail. So what the recommendation is to put a temporary bollard sign there while the reconstruction is going on. Linda, anything more you want to add?
No, it's just, my concern really lies in the fact that it's always been a four-way stop, and the trail users don't always pay attention to that four-way stop. It's more of a two-way stop. Now that stop sign's going away, people aren't going to be used to it. So we need to put something up, warning, two-way stop, pay attention. Because by the time people get from the N24 reroute to that point, they're going to be angry trying to get to and from. So I just, be proactive rather than reactive.
What do you plan to put there? It's a temporary bollard, but what do you?
I'm
What-
thinking
what do you
of a stop
picture?
sign on a post in some sort of cement pillar. They have these cement pillars that you can actually put like directional parking signs. I think Parks and Rec, I don't know if you guys use them. I know Oxford uses them, and they're very heavy. You can't just pick them up. I mean, you're going to have to move them. So I don't think they're going to get knocked over or stolen, and then just put a stop sign with flags attached to the stop sign on either side, on the west side and east side of Glassby Road, or the trail at the Glassby, because I'm just concerned.
This is in addition to existing stop signs there
Correct.
already.
Correct.
I don't know, is this an MDOT project or is this a road commission project?
This is MDOT.
MDOT, it's an MDOT reroute.
MDOT, due to my familiarity with road projects with MDOT, part of their project component is signage. And I think that there should be signage, temporary signage posted on that route alerting drivers to the change in the stop sign, as well as they may even provide a sign for the trail to that change. And
Sure.
I think we should formally request that
I think that's a good
be
idea.
included.
Yeah.
And I think they will if it's brought to their attention and asked for.
That's a good point.
And I would say on North Oxford there, I mean,
That's a
if
50
they're,
mile an
if
hour
they're,
road.
if they're gonna take that stop sign out, I would almost say that I would certainly put maybe some sawhorses up just to
Something.
advise people to let them know, because, I mean, I don't know how they're ever gonna get across there, because it's gonna be
Yeah.
like M24.
Yeah, you're exactly
Yeah.
right.
No, it's M24 adjacent now. I mean, I was almost hit by a car crossing that road section by a guy just blowing through a stop sign, and so it's not a good intersection on a daily basis, so I just am very concerned about it.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And I did talk to Glenn at the DDA, who's actually spearheading the MDOT project and everything, and, he thought it was a good idea, too, so we'll go.
Donnie, go ahead.
I was at an MDOT meeting last week, so I do have the project manager's email and
Take it.
phone number if you want it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Just remind me, it's at the office.
And Curtis, can we make a formal request to do a letter and send it to him?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, this is a great idea.
because I'm just really worried.
And I'll offer the motion to authorize Linda to follow through on that, to place temporary bollard signs and other safety enhancements at that intersection of Pollyant Trail and Glassby Street. That'll be my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Sump to authorize the Trail Manager Linda Moran to place temporary ballard signs and other necessary signage at the intersection of Pollyant Trail and Glassby Street. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Linda, you and I will get together on that and
Okay.
make something happen.
We have a little bit of time, but sooner is better,
Okay, next item is Oxford Ladies Club event request. Linda, I'll let you give us an update on what's happening, who's been in contact with you, and where it stands.
Well, Lydia Ronner, who is the president of the Oxford Women's Club, gave me a call. They would like to do the second one. We did one last year on June 1st. It was fabulous. It made us over I think it was $1,587 was our portion of the proceeds. So I think it was a really good thing for the first event. Our main sponsor, which is the Rehab Center in town here, would like to be our sponsor again. So we're going to move ahead, and the date right now is June 13th, 2020. Same location, downtown Village of Oxford, right at 33 Pleasant Street. So we'll be, Curtis.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think it sounds like a great event. We've had good experience with them in the past. And I think it would be appropriate if our newest member of the council, who also happens to be from the Village of Oxford, were to make her first motion, that this would be it.
Before that happens, do you need any funding for this issue?
I would probably say, much like last year, I think
Okay.
it was like $250.
It's 300.
300,
300.
I requested.
It's in the motion.
Yeah, 300. I think we ended up using like $75, and then, we got it back.
You have it if you need it.
Yeah, we need it. So
you need it.
$300 would be fabulous.
She said June 13th at what time?
It's going to be 9 a.m.
Okay.
I move that the Pollyant Trailway Management Council approve the Oxford Ladies Club event request for the 5K walk on June 13th, 2020, and provide the $300 for the event. The $300 amount is to be expensed to the account of 298-853-962.014 PATMC. Sponsored events. Trail Manager Linda Moran is to coordinate the event with the Oxford Ladies Club and confirm receipt of all documentation for the event.
Support.
Okay, motion by Councilor Kemp, second by Councilor Nichols to approve the Oxford Ladies Club event request. We'll get a roll call on this, please.
Yes, sir. Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Stent.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Allison Kemp.
Yes.
That was a great motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Allison.
Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda is not an action item, and it's an information item to let the council know that ITC will be trimming power lines starting, looks like they're going to try to start next week,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
The 21st. And the plan now is to start from south of Clarkston Road in Orion Township, going north of Drainer Road, where it makes a bend to go northwesterly, approximately about a half mile north. So you're looking at about a 4-mile clearing by ITC. Linda and I were on the phone at 2 o'clock with several officials from ITC and the tree company as well to let us know what the schedule was. It appears everything's in place. The cutting is actually on ITC property. We don't have any overlapping boundary lines except the easement line for ITC and the westerly property line of the Pollyant Trail. Linda's been in contact with them, requesting them to save some of the, like the cedar trees, so that they don't just buzz cut the whole easement. And it appears that ITC has been in contact with all property owners along the way to let them know what's going to be happening, and they're going to do a more comprehensive cut, so they don't have to do it on a more annual basis. They'll move back their cutting schedule. So, project starting on projected for the 21st of January, lasting for 4 to 5 weeks, probably to the end of February if all goes well, and about a 4-mile 4-mile process right through the Orion and Oxford area. So, if there's any further questions on that, Linda and I will be happy to let you know what's going on. So, they've already been in contact. Anybody wants the wood, they're giving the homeowners right of first refusal. And then after that, it's almost as if anybody wants the wood, then contact Linda or myself.
Can the trail use any wood chips or anything, any areas?
We are making our own by bucket loads.
With the invasive?
Yeah, so
Okay.
a couple of things. I did do a tour with Tyson Cappan, Mike Stevens, and Jim, and there were several trees that are on the Pollyant Trail that are invasive, black locust specifically. They did ask if they could remove those. I mean, these guys are much more aggressive with the invasive species than I've ever seen them do it. They're also going to be treating the stumps, so they won't come back. We did mark several trees that are on the Pollyant Trail that have been problematic for us to mow around, so they are taking them out, which I'm pretty happy about. So it's going to be bare. It's going to be bare. And which brings me to the wildflower program, when anybody wants to talk about wildflowers.
Okay, anything further on the ITC cutting? Okay, moving on to unfinished business. This is where we left off in our November meeting to have respective boards and councils go back to their governing boards and determine what was an agreeable number to increase funding, if increasing at all. Currently, we're at $38,500, which is a significant portion of our existing funding. So I guess I'll open it up to the floor and continue the conversation. Who wants to go first?
I did bring this up, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did bring this up at our board meeting, and most of my board is in agreement that we think that we should just be keeping up with inflation at this time. I know we have a lot of projects we want to do, but I think we need to be looking for more grants for some of this, because the total burden is falling on the townships themselves, and I'm hoping that we can get some grants in the future for some of these bigger projects. But I would not be opposed to a 5% increase across the board for Pollyant Trail to keep up with inflation. I know inflation isn't that much, but the price of personnel and everything is, so.
I'd like to know what possibilities there are for grants that you can see down the line here.
There was an increase in the passport grants and some different grants like that. The problem we have, and this is an ongoing problem, when we go up for our grants, we have absolutely no matching money. we have to find the matching money to actually get these grants. 99% of these grants are match required, and it depends on the type of grant they are as to how much they match and how much you're asking for. And a lot of them, to resurface the trail is a trust fund grant. If we need $1 million, we need probably $300,000 cash just to bring to the table. Curtis and I have been exploring different funding avenues. Ralph C. Wilson said they would help us out with funding to help us get to our match, but for them to do that, we have to bring money to the table with them to prove that we're serious before they'll give us the money to go to somebody else to try to get it to match. And JJ has expressed, he likes the trail. He thinks it's a great idea. He'd help us out anyway. We just have to ask and bring money. We don't have any money to bring. Unless we find some funding to get the money to take to people to match the match, we're kind of like in hiatus. I don't know what to do.
Aaron, go ahead.
So our current expense is roughly right around $50,000, right? So we're consistently taking out our reserves every year, for the most part.
We haven't been until last year. Now we started the ball rolling, and what Bruce is saying, if we maintain status quo, then the fund balance will probably remain status quo as well.
And that's if nothing major happens.
Correct.
A bridge, sinkholes, whatever it may be. I get the point that we need to be pursuing more grants, but it's rather than putting money into the actual fund, we're saying, we need to go find more money, which in turns means Linda needs to spend more time, which means more money, to go look for grants. Traditionally, townships, municipalities, other organizations utilize their engineers to help pursue these grants. You need engineering costs. So no matter what, we need funding. Funding is the issue. I understand that it's tough to bear a large increase, but when was the last time there was a substantial increase? Do we know?
I don't know. In my research, I pulled out 2004 and 5 funding, and also 2006 and 7. And at that time, it was, what was it here? The funding in 2000, what is that? 2000, looks like 2000. The number was $52,900. So it really wasn't that much. And why it went down, nobody in this council probably has an idea. Donnie, go ahead.
Well, if you keep up with the rate of inflation, let's go back to 2004 and then keep up with the rate of inflation and add 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, and we'd probably be at the $75,000, but we haven't even been keeping up with the rate of inflation. So, I'm still.
You're talking about, okay.
Go ahead. I'm still a proponent of bumping it up to $75,000, and then based on the Pollyann Trail funding formula scenario that you created for us last meeting, and
Okay.
yeah, and and if we were not to have like Linda spend the money on going to the actual gravel pit and picking up gravel and throwing it in her truck and having to pay our own municipalities to do that work, to have people pay for it, there's no way in the world that we could even hire one person for $75,000. It's impossible to be able to do the work that this one person does. And we would have to backfill it, because if she doesn't do it, each township is required to take care of the maintenance within their own backyard. So I think that this is a really good buy.
I may give you a little history. Oh, go right ahead.
Let's go ahead.
I'll wait.
Beauty before age here.
Go ahead,
I'll
Bruce.
just say,
Well, I'm not involved, so.
yeah.
And I get it on
If you know
both.
the history here, though, in 2008, we weren't in the Pollyann Trail for Addison Township, okay? We'd already bailed out. When I came into office, I brought us back in. my council is saying that we like the Pollyant Trail a lot. I mean, we really do support it, but we also have other things that have to be taken care of in the township. And I'm not doing much more than keeping up with inflation on the rest of the projects. And so this project, if you want to go up that high, I'd have a very difficult time explaining to my board that we're going to give the Pollyant Trail a lot more than what I'm giving other councils. There are other projects that we have in the township. I can only do so much with only so much money. We give a lot of volunteer time. We do a lot of volunteer stuff ourselves. Like McDonald and I saved the council an awful lot of money when we redid the restrooms on our own time. I think we saved you probably about $3,500 or $4,000. I mean, we are doing stuff with volunteers. As far as taxpayer money, I have to be very responsible. That's all I can say. And my council has already heard that Monday night.
Was there any talk of pulling out, depending on what the funding would be?
We have to have priorities, okay? And our priorities are taking care of the needs of the taxpayers, and I do understand this trail. As I said, the previous administration did pull out completely. When I came in, I did bring us back in, but to keep us in, I have to keep this under control. That's all I can say. We're the smallest population. We have the largest mileage. You have to understand that we don't have the same bank accounts that everybody else has, okay?
Elgin?
Well, I was just going to say that in order to do more, you need more. She can't go for grants unless you got matching funds. And being, if we don't raise this, she's not going to have matching funds. So it's going to cut back on what she does as far as resources for the community. Yeah, you have no choice. I have a tendency to go along with Donnie Steele down there. $75,000 isn't a whole lot of money when you look at all the things that are done in order to keep this thing solvent and keep it moving forward.
Mike, go ahead.
Aaron had his hand up before me.
I was just going to say, times are good. The economy's doing really well. So maybe it's a time for us to take this jump, to invest in the trail, to whatever we don't spend the money just wildly.
Right.
Continue to be frugal, save money, keep putting money into our bank account. And then if a project comes along that we can invest in for a grant opportunity or an emergency happens, we have those reserves without coming back to the communities and saying, we have this emergency $200,000 repair. We need it. Times are bad. We don't have reserves. I mean, we need to be forecasting this. That's less.
Mike, go ahead.
What we do have a reserve fund, so to speak. We're not living hand to mouth each year. And we spent $20,000 of it last year from reserves in order to do the operations that we undertook. That said, we've got a fund balance now of about $66,000, that some of which could certainly be used for matching funds. And I think that would be the time that when that opportunity is there, that we would talk about replenishing that fund balance rather than relying on trust that we'll have an opportunity to generate that. The Village of Leonard has been a charter member of this organization, as we all have, and our history has been one of supporting the trail, but the trail has also been generous to the village and allowed us to do in-kind work, some of the things that Donnie was talking about, and we do it not just in the village, we go outside the village and help mainly in the Addison Township area. And that, not to discount the volunteers that also pitch in and make it possible for the trail to do things and be responsive to problems as well as improvements. So I think the council needs to take into consideration the fact that we do have some funding available. I know the Natural Resources Trust Fund has a 20% grant
I think it's 25%.
25% grant match.
Right.
which $25,000 is, of our money, would mean $100,000. That's a pretty considerable, good match for some of the projects I think we could entertain doing.
And once we get past the master plan program, I'm going to be working more with Oakland County to identify some of the grant opportunities that we are aware of that we can go after. It's kind of like a house of cards. You go after the small ones that you can use for match. So we do have a few possibilities of getting a few donors on board to come up with some match to match the smaller grants that can be applied to the larger grants. There's different passport type grant programs that the DNR allows you to use once you get those into a trust fund. And have you guys ever done that, Aaron? Have you used smaller, like the passport, and you use it for match? So it's all, you've got to get one. If we have the money in reserves and we are able to go after that, but those are project specifics. Like if we want to go and resurface the trail, which is the ultimate goal. The trail, when we resurface the trail, say we get a passport grant, I think the max is $30,000.
I think we need to do, Lynn, instead of us guessing.
Yeah.
We need to bring that information. Here's the grants available. This is the percentage match, and then we can decide where we're going to go with that. I've got, I don't know if Eric or Donnie was first. You guys can decide who wants to go first.
I got a quick question. Refresh my memory how we would get from 50 to 75,000.
A quick motion.
No. I mean, how would that be divided up? No.
That's right.
Okay, okay, that's on the
By
chart.
these percentages
Okay.
here.
I just have one question.
You're taking cuts?
Pardon?
You're taking cuts?
Oh, he's still
Yeah,
up.
Donnie had her
Donnie's
hands up.
Right.
Okay, go.
You got the answer.
Got the answer? All right, Donnie, go ahead.
If, a lot of what Linda does and what we've done in the past 2 years really is not even grant worthy. I mean, we're talking gas cans, weed whips, goggles, dirt, boards. I mean, thousands of dollars have gone to just the basic maintenance of the trail to bring it up to the level in which it is now. Cutting, overhead cutting, it hasn't been big expenditures like, let's, resurface it. These are small projects, and we've eaten up, a third of our whole fund balance just on getting our maintenance up. So what you're asking for, Bruce, is for her to go out and get grants. She's willing to, but it's not what we're spending money on. We're just spending money on maintenance, basic maintenance. And that's my first point. And my second point is, if you were even just to take the rate of inflation and not increment it at 3% a year for 10 years, leaves us at $11,000. We should be at 50 right now. That's where we should be without even making a monumental jump. So I'm still after 75, but I might consider going as low as 50, but that's I like to make a motion.
Good idea.
But I'm out of order, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Can I just say?
Go ahead, Bruce.
This is, once we put these raises in, this is a year after year after year after year raise.
Not necessarily. The council can reconsider at any time.
We'll never go down, okay?
We did, though. We went down. 2005-6 share was 58,500.
That's when Addison left.
But when they come in, why wouldn't it be that or even more? If you come back in.
But we did put our money in at that time.
You did, $9,175 in 2005 and 6. And then it went up.
But what I'm saying is this is a progressive every year. This will go up. I would be more inclined to say that if Linda comes back with a grant that says we have to have matching funds, maybe then that's the time that we say to the board, do we want to pony up for a matching fund? And so that we can then have a project and then go in for the grant instead of saying, let's build a big war chest and let's spend some money. I'd rather keep this at a reasonable rate for us so that we don't have to leave the Pollyant Trail. And then if we do have a big project, at least I can explain that to my citizens that if we pony up a certain amount of money, we might get a great grant out of this, and then it's an awful lot easier to explain to them that way than it is to say, let's just raise the money and keep raising the money, hoping that we'll be able to get a grant year after year. And if we don't get a grant, then we have a huge amount of money and we didn't do anything with it. I'd rather wait until somebody comes up and says, we have a grant and we need $25,000 as matching, and then maybe our citizens would say, that's a great cause.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, anything further on that? Eric?
Yeah, just one more comment. I still don't quite get the formula for this. We're getting hit for all the mileage that this is in our township, okay? And I get that, that's one way to do it. As a citizen of Addison Township, that's hard for me to digest, just because it goes through our township. We got to put money in. Oh, by the way, most of the people using it are coming from a different area. And trust me, a lot of citizens feel that way.
Yeah, but it's a trail for the use of whoever wants to use it,
I realize
regardless of
that,
who.
but I'm just saying, I'm just making a comment
Sure.
that is something that, when you talk to the citizens.
The formula is population and miles of trail. It used to have the SEV involved with it, but that was taken out. And, short of Linda documenting where she works and how many hours she works at it, you really don't know where the money's being allocated. I mean, right now it's going where it's needed. So there might be, I will take Orion Township, they're probably a donor to the rest of the trail for the money they put in. Bruce?
If I may add something, we're a population of just over 6,500 people, okay? Our tax base is not what it is for a township of 30,000 people with industry. We have no industry. We are strictly a rural area. A lot of it's still empty. And when you look at the formula, if you're telling me that Orion Township is paying 38%, and they have close to 30,000 people with industry and major highways and major industries, and we're paying 22%, and I've got 6,000 some people, and I've got the largest mileage, and you want me to help me up the same as everybody, that's just not going to happen.
For the maintenance cost on
I
the length of trail.
understand, and I think that who put the parking lot in, that was done as a volunteer thing, okay? I think we saved you thousands and thousands of dollars. We've also donated other stuff.
Sure.
We do what we can do out there. I can't guarantee you that we can come up with money because we're not that kind of a township, okay? And if you want us to be in the big league with everybody else, we just can't do it.
It's not going to happen.
So you guys make your choice.
Okay. Mike, we'll go to you, then Aaron to you. And then Donnie, if you have a motion, and we'll go to that, and I'll have a comment before the motion.
I just want to kind of draw a distinction. This council has been awesome in the last 3 years, 4 years, between changing trail managers and undoing 25 years worth of relative neglect. We have cut the trail back, we've improved it, we've actually made the DNR happy. We have gotten grants, and we've had to match some of it. The bottom line is that we have spent more money, but it's been as Donnie described. We've maintained the heck out of the trail, and unfortunately, it still needs quite a bit more to be an exemplary trail. And that's what we're not losing sight of that. It's how we get there. So I'm going to come back and just say that I think we're chasing the right agenda. It's how much and for how long.
That's the bottom line. How
we can
much
do it.
how much is each municipality willing to put in to maintain it? We've got anywhere from 5% to $75,000 down to 50,000. So it's just a matter of casting a vote, and that's what we'll stick on the wall, so to speak. Aaron, go ahead.
First thing, most of us have already adopted our budgets for 2020. So if a motion would to be made, I would make a suggestion that it's made for 2021. So none of us are, taking back to our boards, readopting the budget. It's established for the year. Secondly, if Leonard does in-kind services and Addison is having difficulty, maybe conveying to the board that we'd like to add more funds to it, maybe an in-kind service is appropriate for Addison to assist with the rest. I get both sides of it. I don't agree with not investing into our reserves now while things are good.
So you would recommend that if this is a motion for the increase of being 2021 and not this year?
Correct.
You go with status quo, $38,500. Donnie, were you going to make a motion, Donnie?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to increase the dues for, to reflect the Pollyant Trail funding formula scenarios for 2020 of a proposed $50,000. And I do want to just make one comment. I'll make a comment if it's seconded.
Okay, motion on the floor by Councilor Steele to increase the dues to $50,000. Is there any second to the motion?
Can I make a comment before?
No, because I'll get to you, Linda. The council has first right of comment. Donnie, you had a comment after your motion.
One, Bruce, I'm compromising. I'm being nice. I'm usually not so nice. That's my first.
And I will compromise with you. If you
That wasn't
go
my
to the 2021, I will go 10%.
So 10% is?
That'd be $30,850 more to spread amongst the municipalities. That'd bring you to, what would that be, 42,350?
42,350. Yeah.
42,350.
Okay, so I'll keep, that's the motion. And then my comment is that the formula really does take into, is the population. It takes into account the population.
Yes.
And the mileage. So whereas, and I'm just saying the Paint Creek Trail, it's split right down the middle, 4 ways. Oakland Township has the biggest portion. They pay the same amount as Orion does, and we have the smallest portion. So I believe that this funding formula was taken into consideration of population and length, which is much better than what the Paint Creek Trail does.
Well, I'd like to move the question,
Move the motion?
and if it fails, we'll work something out, and if it doesn't, well.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to increase funding for the Pollyant Trail Management Council to $50,000 for the year 2020. Let's have a roll call vote on that motion unless there's further comment.
Bruce Pearson,
No.
Eric Sent,
No.
Donnie Steele,
Yes.
Aaron Wadley,
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright,
No.
Mike McDonald,
No.
Allison Kemp.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails on that. Okay, I think, at least from my own opinion here, is that I agree to increase it. I just want to make sure Addison is comfortable to stick with us. I like Aaron's ideas a lot. That's just one person on this council for it. So with that, is there any further motions on the floor?
Bruce, didn't you, you had a comment on this?
You were going to comment.
I would agree to a 2-year funding schedule, 5% and 5%, so that'd be 10%. So the first year you get 5%, the second year you get 10%. That's really a 15% over 2 years.
Which is, what is that number?
Would we like to bring this back next month?
No.
No.
Not
Okay.
if we can do it now.
I like that idea.
Better for everybody.
Allison, you were just getting,
I know my council discussed, well, I've talked to members privately, discussed increasing the amount. I don't know if I would support 2021.
Okay, everybody's crunching numbers here at the table.
So it
We
would be 40,
basically,
5% would get us, would be 40,425 for the year it is applied. And then, if you take that times,
Another 10% then.
10% the second.
so that would be 44,000, give or take.
so 2020 would be the 40,400 or 450, and then 2021 would be the 44,000.
44, yeah.
It's easier to pick it up 45.
So, to me, I really think it's dependent on, we're focusing on grants. And I believe even if we would have approved the $50,000, it wasn't going to make a dent in the ability to secure some of these grants.
And we should, my apologies. We should, I'd like to suggest that the council should consider having a line item for like a matching grant line item, so that we have a set amount in the budget.
You have a grant expenses line item.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's $2,000.
Yeah, I give my budget.
5,000 for the
Oh, okay,
2020 budget.
okay.
We have $5,000 budgeted, which is approximately 10% of our budget.
And we track how much we spend.
Right.
But we don't really have a matching fund line item.
And I think that's our stumbling block. I mean, we don't have anything to go to the table with to get these grants. And,
Well, we don't have anything identifiable as that.
identifiable, that is
But
correct.
we do have.
Right, that is correct.
We have a significant reserve, even it's lower than it's been, but that's what it's for.
I promise to spend less money this year.
Donnie,
I'd like to make a motion to increase the Pollyant Trail funding formula scenarios as follows. For the year 2020, 41,000, 2021, 45,000, 2022, 50,000.
Would you repeat those again, please, Don?
To repeat, the formula for the next 3 years, 2020, 41,000, I just rounded up. 2021, 45, I just rounded up and equal, and then 2022 is 50. So we take 3 years to get to the same amount as right now.
And so, that's progressive, let me speak.
yes, go ahead, Bruce.
That's progressive, can you just, if you know, being that you know figures, what's the percentage?
Well, it was 5%, 10%, and then 10%, roughly.
Well, I think that's
doable, and I think that, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think that represents something that we can work with, and it also gives us time to take into consideration if we do get some grant opportunities, we can allocate, but we have increased our income significantly if we adopt that motion. There was a second, wasn't there?
There was not a second at this.
I'll second.
Okay.
And
I'll
Okay.
second it for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Steele, second by Councilor McDonald, to increase the funding for the Pollyant Trail Management Council as follows: $41,000 for the year 2020, $45,000 for the year 2021, and $50,000 for the year 2022. Mike, go ahead. You got a comment?
No.
Bruce, go ahead.
Could you just, the 50,000 in 3 years, what would Addison Township's actual contribution be?
You're right with 22%. 22% of 2,500. So you're looking at about $600
No.
as far as
For
the
2020.
increase. The increase.
The
Increase, so what would the actual price that Addison Township would be contributing for the third year?
If you take
It'd be an additional 2,000 by the third year.
take 50,000 times 22.14, you'd come up with about $1,100, $11,000.
So it would be the same is what we're proposing for first year, but dragging out to 3 years.
Right.
Is that correct?
So and it almost works out 5%, it's 5%, 10%, 10%.
Well, I'm going to have to build an awful lot more houses in Addison Township, but I'd go along with it.
Get some water and sewer. Get some water and sewer.
You need to talk to,
No, we don't want water and
Yes.
sewer.
we need to get Donnie's mom on board.
Okay, I'm gonna put this motion on the floor here for a vote. Everybody understand what the motion is?
Yep.
Okay, can we get a roll call on this one, please?
Yes, sir. Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Eric Stent,
Yes.
Donnie Steele,
Yes.
Aaron Wadley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes,
Mike McDonald,
Yes.
Allison Kemp.
Yes.
Motion carried.
okay, thank you.
Just add some, I don't mean to be difficult, but I do have a budget that I
Sure.
have to meet, and I
I promise to spend
can't go back
less.
to my council and say that I agreed to something that would be completely outrageous. They want to pay.
I believe the council understands that, and we're just trying to make things happen. Okay, we're moving on here. Next up is the master plan update. Linda, quickly.
The master plan update, it's fabulous. We're almost there. We're in the home stretch. Kristen Wolfang and I have been working diligently on getting all of the photographs updated, all the statistics, all the information. It's been a long, hard slog because there's been a lot of missing information and a lot of information that was not accurate. So we are updating that. We are waiting now for the next portion of our meeting, which is the interlocal agreement and bylaws. Once we get that set, we'll put it in the master plan. We go for the community meeting. We're done. Everybody signs off on it. We send it out. DNR approves it. We print it. So we are at the end. We just need the interlocal agreement and bylaws approved by each of your individual councils.
Well,
Once-
in order to do that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
My
you're fine.
apologies. I'm just thinking administratively, you won't have the master plan then for approval in February.
No.
Okay.
We
Because
can-
you've got February 19th
Right.
here.
That's kind of gone to the wayside, just because
Okay.
we've just slogging
No,
through
we
so much,
understand.
yeah.
But we need to know when, we need a drop dead date so that we can get them before each of our boards
Right.
or councils.
If you could present them at your February meetings, and we can bring it back, what was the timeline, Curtis? You said March? Bring it back here to March to approve it?
It would be February approvals by the municipal governing bodies, and then we can recommend the master plan in March.
And then we'd send it out. We get it all compiled, bring it back, get approval, send it to the DNR. DNR approves it, and then we're off to the races. So, September.
So Linda, is there any way that you can provide the draft copy to council?
I can
Ahead of
ask
time?
and see where it's at. Oh, the draft, yeah, once we get the,
So if there's comments, then they can comment ahead of time
Absolutely.
before getting it and then
Oh,
pushing
yeah.
it back another month possibly.
absolutely,
It can be electronically, right?
Yes.
Right, it
Yeah,
should be. It's probably, what,
absolutely.
120 pages?
right at, yeah, right
Somewhere in
at.
that range.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be good to get that because it's a lot of pages to review.
Yeah, and then as soon as we get the approval of the interlocal agreement and the bylaws, we'll put them in there, we'll send them out, everybody can review them, and we're good. September.
Okay, so a recap is that you're still working on it.
Yes,
You're gonna provide draft copies to the council.
yes,
And that'll be presented based upon the interlocal agreement and bylaws being approved.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Anything further?
This is not the bylaws, this is actually the intergovernmental agreement.
Interlocal agreement and the bylaw update that we're working on as far as, not paying council members. There was a couple of different things on it that we changed,
Basically a synopsis of the interlocal agreement.
how the council is run.
Mike, go ahead.
The Natural Resources Trust Fund grant period is
Oh, it's
April
gone.
1st?
April 1st, we're not going to make it.
Okay.
Um,
Did we have something on the wish list for that?
Well, we were hoping to get the trail resurfaced, we were,
Oh, right,
that kind
right,
of stuff,
okay.
but, we're
Okay.
still working on if we can get the match money, which this year will give us some time. We'll get our master plan in with the DNR, everything will be set that way.
Okay.
We'll have 5 years. Oakland County and I are going to be working pretty diligently on a couple of donors that we have our eyes on, that hopefully we can get some matching funds. That matching money, we can go for smaller grants that we can use, so on and so forth and so on. We'll get there.
Okay, so you'll get us
Yes.
the master plan, at least for a review on that. Any
Yes.
further questions on that issue? Okay, moving on is to the interlocal agreement. We've had this presented last year at this time, and the copy in your packet shows the last date of April 18th of 2019. We've pulled back because we thought we had to have the master plan done before the bylaws or the interlocal agreement, but come to find out, that's not the case, so now it's being brought back. This is the last copy that we've had for review. You've had previous copies in your packet with the changes. Allison, you probably haven't, so we'll have to get you those if you need them. I don't know if council has any more questions on this or anything more they'd like to add to it. If they need to go back and review the previous changes, if you want something out of me to provide to you, I can do that. So I'm looking for your pleasure and direction. Donnie, anything?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion and second on the floor. Motion by Councilor Steele, second by Councilor Nichols to approve the interlocal agreement as presented. Any further discussion on the motion? Aaron?
This was, we had discussed this at length, and no other changes have been made since that point.
I've received no other changes to that, so that's why I opened it up to say, if you feel you need to pull back and offer another change, this is the time to do it because the motion is on the floor. Allison, go ahead.
Forgive me, because I am playing catch-up here. I briefly talked about with Joe Medor, our village manager, that if he could serve on the board, if one of us couldn't. Did that make it in here?
It was discussed on that, and if Section 3A, council, it says the council shall be comprised of two persons from each member unit, one of which shall be a member of the member unit's governing body or the village manager in the case of the Village of Leonard or the Village of Oxford.
Thank you. I missed it. Thank you.
Okay, so just in point to that, the way this is written, go ahead, Don.
To finish.
Okay, it shows two persons from each member unit, so the way it's written is that the council needs two people on that, and the same with you, Mike. So if that's the case, you're gonna have to appoint another person to sit on this council, which would bring it up to a 10-person council. So that might be an amendment to two persons from the member unit townships and one member unit from the villages.
That'll be half your village have to be here.
I might have to pay somebody to come.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donnie?
That seems reasonable, what you just said. What you just said.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought the reason, because we had done this already, and my memory serves me that we gave it back to Linda to
Just-
have the state look at it.
Right.
And to see if the state had any input, and apparently they have looked at it and had no input, and it's gonna be good enough for grants. Is that how?
Correct.
Yeah, the main sticking point was the dissolution portion. So we took the language out of the Paint Creek Trail, incorporated it into this agreement, and then, just like you said, the understanding was to take it to the state. State said
No
no.
one's-
we-
yeah, no one
It's
has
not a real
had
big
any-
deal, so that's how it ended up where it was at.
No one's had any comment. I've sent it all the way up to the head of the trust fund, and he had no comment, so,
A lot of effort for nothing.
Call the question.
I'd rather have more effort.
I'll call the question. Donnie, do you want to make that motion with that amendment
Yes,
to change the two persons from the villages to one?
yes.
Okay, and you had the second on that, Elgin, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to amend your second?
Yes, I'll amend my second.
Okay, with that, let's have a roll call on this, please.
Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Eric Sent,
Yes.
Donnie Steele,
Yes.
Aaron Wadley,
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright,
Yes.
Mike McDonald,
Yes.
Allison Kemp.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. So what will happen here is that This will be forwarded to your respective boards and councils, hopefully at your February meeting, and that'll get in place, and then once we get that approval, then we'll move it forward with the master plan on that, so
Yeah.
please, if you can get that on your February agenda, that would be great. And likewise with the next item on the agenda is the bylaws. There was a couple items that, on these that I pointed out previously, and one of them was where the trail started, and it shows Indianwood Road in section 1A. I guess the language would have to be, what, Aaron, south of Walden?
Joslin.
Joslin.
Joslin, so it'll be Joslin.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody see where I'm at on that? Okay. And then the other item on that, there's a item, Article 3, Section 2A. There's a blank for the first amendment to the interlocal agreement date. It's a blank in there. If I'm looking at it here. Powers and duties of the council. Article 3.
Maybe that's why I can't find it.
All right, I'll tell you what. Probably just copied even pages. Well, anyway, pass that down, Bruce. You guys can review that, and then you can pass this one down, Elgin. And you'll see the blank on Article 3A.
Donnie did it. She knows what she's looking.
You'll see it down, it should be in red.
Oh, okay, that's blank.
There's a blank for the date in there.
Okay.
Now, what you could do maybe is you could just strike that language in there. I don't know. I don't know what's the necessity of it when it was created.
So we don't know,
Do you have that with you, Linda, the bylaws?
I can print them out.
well, they're saying that the IGA, the original IGA was in 97, and there was another amendment to it. But, yeah,
I mean, none of this council
I
would
don't
have
think we
any,
need it if we adopt the IGA now. We don't, we don't need the prior language amendments, as long as we have the finished language.
finished product.
in front of us.
If you're,
That makes sense.
if you're satisfied with the language, then we could just go ahead and delete the date out if it has no significance now.
You do?
No table of contents.
No, I agree with what you said. If that's.
Yeah, that's why I'm where I'm at.
No, we don't need to figure it.
All you need here. Want my glasses? I don't see it in here, Linda.
I think as far as the bylaws in the Article 3, Section 2,
Don't see it. Might be-
2A, we should just reference the date of adoption of this
Interlocal agreement.
interlocal agreement, and
That's
and confine it to that.
Yeah.
Because
And,
we've got the finished agreement in our hands. As soon as we adopt it, that date would be the date of adoption.
And the date of adoption is per the Pollyant Trail Management Council or the last municipality that approves.
It probably should be the last municipality.
Okay,
That means the agreement is adopted.
correct.
If they all participate. So we don't know when that is, but it'll be 20-something.
We can fill that in accordingly then.
Yeah.
So is that a motion?
Do you want a motion? Do we need?
I would like a motion if we're gonna move this forward somehow, get some council direction to.
I'd like, as far as in reference to the bylaws, under 10D, I would make a motion that the language of Article 3, Section 2A be amended to reflect only the date of adoption of the proposed intergovernmental agreement.
So your motion is just on that particular item,
On that item.
on that item? Okay.
I-
Okay, I have a motion. Do I get a second to that motion?
Well, Donnie had something.
I need a second to the motion.
I'll second.
Second to the motion. Okay, motion by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Stump to approve the date of adoption for the interlocal agreement to insert in the section of the bylaws. Donnie, go ahead.
It's just kind of funny, but on Article 3, it talks about meetings, and it says, Section 4, meetings will be held, provided in Section 4A, and then you go to 4A, and then it says, meetings will be held according to subsection 3B4. So it just goes back
Back and forth, ping pong?
Yeah, that one might just need to be,
Taken out.
meetings addressed, that's all. So,
Well, I believe that Section 3, they're referring to the IGA. Oh, no, they're not. IGA, Section 3.
And this is why the master plan is taking so long.
Yeah, you're right. It is, it is circular.
There is
Yeah.
no, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
you don't have to have meetings.
Okay, I have a motion and second on the floor. Everybody understand the date of adoption will be put into the bylaw agreement based on the interlocal agreement date. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, now going to bylaw review. Donnie, you had one correction, it sounded like you wanted to make in the document.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's addressed in Section 4 in the back, meetings,
Okay,
but Section 4 meetings in the, I think, what is this, appendix?
So it's Article
It's in the
Article
inner-
3, Section 4, correct?
Yeah.
Meetings, council meetings will be held as provided in Section 4, subsection A of the agreement.
And if you look,
it should be section 3 instead of section 4.
no, if you look in the interlocal,
What section is it?
Section 4 meetings. If you look in the interlocal,
Right.
it addresses,
So it is correct.
it is,
It should, but it should
say,
say,
in the,
it should say as provided in the intergovernmental agreement, Section 4, meetings.
yes.
Where, in other words,
Well, if
it should be,
subsection A of the interlocal agreement?
yes,
So you-
it should reference, where it says agreement, we're not talking about the bylaws, we're talking about the IGA.
Right.
So let's make that clear and say intergovernmental agreement,
Was the-
rather than just, and it's all through that section, actually.
Was the interlocal agreement referenced before that? With agreement put in?
Yes, all of these references.
Or was there any parentheses with agreement in it that would eliminate having to repeat interlocal agreement?
Well, the alternative,
We can put it in there, that's not an
in a-
issue.
Well, an attorney would say, in the advanced language of the agreement, of the bylaws, that you could add that language, that the term agreement shall refer to the intergovernmental agreement. You know, that's,
Yeah, I know what you're getting at.
it eliminates the circular references that at first read, you don't know what they're talking about or referring to, but the bylaws actually are referring to the IGA.
Bylaws down there. Because if you go back to Article 3, Section 2A, you've got the agreement in parentheses there.
Well, I think the point I'm trying to make is that it would be better even to just use IGA rather than agreement throughout the document.
Because what it was, that agreement was referring back to the First Amendment to the interlocal agreement. Then they put in parentheses, the agreement. which subsequently, that's what subsequently would be stated in the rest of the document, the agreement, which would refer back to that first amendment to the interlocal agreement. That's why you don't have it spelled out all the way. But at any rate, we can just put that in there.
Okay.
We'll make the adjustment for interlocal agreement in there.
I think Donnie's cooking something up over here.
No, I was following, because it referenced the meetings twice, but there were two different spots in the local agreement, so I'm good with it.
Okay.
Just I'm sorry, I thought it was referring to the bylaws, and it's not, so, which makes it clearer.
Okay.
Okay, anything further on the bylaws, the Pollyant Trailway Management Council? If not, we need to get a motion in order to move our master plan further. Any good motion, Donnie?
I'll make a motion to accept the bylaws as, not the bylaws, the interlocal agreements as presented with the,
That is the bylaws.
I'm sorry.
Did we vote on?
We did the
We
bylaws.
did, we did the interlocal agreement already.
I'm
We
sorry.
vote.
We're on the
We voted
bylaws.
on it.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to accept the bylaws as presented with just clarifying the blank on Article 3, and when it refers to the agreement, that it's the interlocal agreement.
Okay, motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second that. Motion by Counselor Steele, second by Counselor McDonald to accept the bylaws with the changes of the agreement statement in the language. And let's have a roll call on this as well.
Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Eric Sant,
Yes.
Donnie Steele,
Yes.
Aaron Watley,
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes, Curtis Wright,
Yes.
Mike McDonald,
Yes.
Ellison Kemp.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Last item on our agenda that was added was a Pathway Church update. Donnie, I'll tell you that I was charged with this, and I have not done anything with that letter yet. I did happen to look in the minutes, and I found out I had another homework assignment,
Well,
and I didn't do it.
when I saw it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we could just put it on the next agenda, so we don't lose sight of that letter, of what our.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right. So my apologies go out for that, not doing the work, but I'll make up for it later here.
Yeah.
And then with that, we will go to councilor comments. Let's start out with Allison, the new person.
Well, and thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate it. So, I grew up in Oxford, live in Oxford, avid trail user. My dog and I love using it. We live right on Burdick, so thank you.
Glad to have you aboard. Aaron?
Yeah. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to a great
I got some
2020. Bruce and the rest of the committee, I apologized if I came off as pushy for the increase, and I respect the position everybody's in for their residents. Obviously, I'm biased because I really enjoy recreation and I see the need for it, so I will keep pushing for recreation, but you can keep me in check. So.
And
We'll get to you.
Greg,
Okay, you go ahead.
I'm just glad I don't have 100 miles of the trail with 6,000 people. That's all I'm saying.
Anything
Me
else, Bruce?
too. I spent a lot of time up in Addison.
You're done? Bruce, go ahead. You were.
No, I have no comment. Yeah, no, I'm sorry that but I have to speak up for my taxpayers.
Sure.
And we're not in the same league as everybody else. As you know, Addison Township, as far as our elected officials, we're the lowest paid in all of Oakland County. Rose Township is the only one that's even close, and they have less population, and they're paid more than we are. We just don't have, we're very conservative, okay? Very Republican area. And we just don't have those kind of funds, and
Sure.
we're very careful. But so, that's all I'm saying. I'm sticking up for my people, and I have to go back to them also and explain. Thank you.
Elgin, anything to comment?
For those folks out in television land, I think Bruce just gave his position, he'd like to have a raise over there in Addison. No, I do understand the situation, same as Aaron, as far as your financial situation over there. And Your case was well presented. On the other side of it, I look at, what it takes to make this operation continue to be progressive, and so that would be my point. Well done.
All right, Mike.
I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, especially with our new member, that really fills out the council, and I think we've accomplished great things, and I think with the attitudes that we have here, we'll continue to do that, and I'm really proud to work with you guys.
Eric.
Well, obviously, I agree with Bruce because I come from the same area. So we got to be fiscal responsible, And I just, again, my feedback too was, the people that live in the township, like myself, And there's a lot of people that like recreation. Don't get me wrong. It's not that nobody uses it there, okay? But we don't have that kind of population. We have the base and all that, so. Based on that, welcome to the new member, and Happy New Year, and great job, Linda, and
Thanks,
looking
Eric.
forward to doing all the necessary things this year.
I
How's
promise.
that sound?
Donnie, go ahead.
I'd like to thank the previous board members and the officers and the future board members and officers. And I know, Curtis, you really step up to the plate, and Elgin, I appreciate it. And Allison, thank you for volunteering. And I really want to thank Joe because he does all the book work. And I just, I don't want to say I don't do anything, but I appreciate the background. I do believe the Pollyant Chip Trail is a good, and I appreciate you guys agreeing to spend more on the trail. Like what Linda said in her report, she has 100 cars a day that park in that Indywood parking lot, so our trail is used constantly, and I think we got a definite jewel, and it's a good bang for the dollar that runs through our township. So, and I think we all agree on that, so, and we're all working towards a positive end.
Can I say a couple things?
No, because I'm first.
We got rid of the verbal report. Come on.
You didn't like that.
Come on, I'm dying over here.
Good thing
You
Bruce
guys are
didn't have to leave
killing
at
me.
4 o'clock.
Well, I
Yeah.
did. I just
Yeah.
got somebody else stuff.
Yeah. No, a couple things is I give everybody a contact list. It's an older list, so it does have to be updated. So if there's anything you see that needs to be updated, make your changes, email it to me or Linda. We'll make those changes and get an updated copy to that. Also, I was brainstorming some ideas for revenue, and there is an option to charge for events on the trail. So why don't you feed me some of your feedback, not necessarily here, but an email or whatever, if you think that's something that would be something you'd be willing to entertain for raising revenue. It may not be much, but it might be something more than others, and it may not be something that would be in good taste for the Pollyant Trail. I don't know, so I'm just throwing that out there as well. And I'd say that when we work as a team together, going as the same direction, everything works out for the better. So some tougher issues on our unfinished business, but those are behind us. Now we can focus on maybe shorter meetings and get some
been
things
too
going here. And Linda, go ahead.
Yay, okay. So I want to talk briefly about an Addison Township resident whose life was saved by Pollyant Trail users. Prickles, the trumpeter swan. Hey, you don't. Real quick, Prickles is a female swan, and she was rescued off the Pollyant Trail in Addison Township. She was sent to Howell Nature Preserve, where she was evaluated and cared for. She has been transferred and is now a proud resident of the Detroit Zoo. She is taking the place of the female trumpeter swan that had died recently. I have talked to Howell Nature Center, and I have called the head aviarian specialist, Tom Schneider. I haven't heard back from him about doing a follow-up story about the trumpeter swan and doing some different rehabilitation things for the trumpeter swans that we have in Addison. And people are very excited about trumpeters because they shouldn't be here, and they are. And they're thriving in Addison, and it's fabulous up there. Except for the muskrats. They move out, the muskrats move in. Rats.
Yeah. Linda, you put that email out explaining this
Yes.
background. I did give you feedback.
Yes.
Because with the car club that I have, I get a lot with Channel 2. Channel 2 loves to get into stories like
Yes.
this. this would be an ideal story for Channel 2
And I'm
follow up on.
I talked to Heather at Howell today, and I left a message for Tom Schneider to call me back, because I'd like to do like a joint Pollyant Trail, Howell Nature Center, Detroit Zoo, that, we're not just taking care of the animals on the other side of the planet, we're actually taking care of the animals in our own neighborhood. This is a native species that's kind of getting beat up because of the muted swans. We have them here, and we're taking care of them. And I think it's going to be it's a real good story about the plight of some of our animals. And, this one is sick because of its diet, What is the Pollyant Trail?
I detect a theme here. Goats, swans.
Turtles.
Turtles.
And then the next one, real quick.
Butterflies, real quick.
I did apply for a Wildflower Association of Michigan grant to do an edible type planting along the Pollyant Trail. The area I've targeted is along Lakeville Road in Oxford Township, right in front of the gravel pit. Pete Frederick had been berming up some of the area to help with trespassers. I've talked to him about doing some plantings out there. He thinks it's a great idea. I'm looking into some more exotic native species that aren't very well known but grow in the area. So I have those on order because and I'm paying for those. Those are a folly of my own. But I also have some pawpaw trees coming in, and some hazelnut trees and some different things. So watch for it. It's going to be exciting. I want pawpaw trees on the trail. I will have pawpaw trees on the trail.
Okay, a motion to adjourn at 4:37 is in order.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion by Counselor Pearson, second by Counselor Watley to adjourn the meeting at 4:37. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thanks,
Meeting.
counselors.